You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hey, welcome to Unlock Your Life. This is Jennings Smith, your host. We're going to be talking today about a pretty controversial thing, something that if you're a real estate investor, you may not like this. This may bother you, make you mad, get you upset, say, that's not me, or maybe that is me. But I made this post the other day on my Facebook page, and I also put it into my First Million in Multifamily group, which is our Facebook group. And it was a picture of a tweet. Okay, so there's a guy named Kyle O'Hee here, who I don't know who that is, but he posted, real estate millionaires don't drive Honda Accords because they're into the poor core aesthetic. They do it because they're illiquid and buying water heaters on credit. So throwing out a major burn there. And I saw this and I was thinking, that's not too inaccurate for a lot of real estate investors, especially single family investors, which is where I started, mobile homes and single family homes. And so I reposted this saying, when you hear single family investors bragging about how they've been driving the same beat up truck for 20 years, it's probably because they have to. And you would not believe the hornet's nest that I kicked over on that post. And so, there's definitely people that are agreeing. There's people that are vehemently disagreeing. People saying that, I'm insecure. I'm an idiot. I'm new money. This is douchey, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm okay with it making people mad, but my intention was not to hate on real estate investors or hate on the single family investor that's trying to get off the ground and get it going. That's not my intention. And if it came off that way or people interpreted it that way, then that's on them. This is just maybe where they're at in life, and that's why they interpreted it that way. But I want to talk to you about what the intention was, because there's really something to learn here. And then I want to go into the mentality of why did people react the way they did? So here is the reality of what I meant by that. Real estate investors are a lot of times equity rich and cash poor. And I'm lumping myself into that category. It's not just single family investors. It's all real estate investors, or most of real estate investors. And the reason being is their assets are tied up, right? There's value there. There's equity there. They're worth more than we've paid for them. But these things are active, ongoing businesses, and stuff breaks. Water heaters break, roofs go out, parking lots go out. There's just always something to be fixed. And even if something is cash flowing, you're always thinking in the back of your head, well, what's around the corner, right? Am I about to have an air conditioner blow out? Am I about to have a roof start leaking? Am I about to have a bunch of vacancy, et cetera, et cetera? And so the other reason why real estate investors are broke is I think that they do have that mentality of, a lot of times we came from nothing, right? I was raised extremely frugal. I was raised probably lower middle class. And coming up, we never went out to eat. If we did, we went to Wendy's and we ordered water and we ordered off the 99-cent menu. We were concerned about the prices of gas. We were concerned about turn off the light switches, turn off the fans. That's a waste of money, et cetera, et cetera. And no hate. That's just the way it was. We didn't have the resources at the time to not be worried about that, or so I thought. So when you're growing up that way and you're bootstrapping your way into your first deal, right? You're saving up your first $10,000, $20,000, whatever dollars to buy your first rental home, and you're fixing everything yourself, maybe even property managing it yourself. And you continue to do that for so many years, it just kind of gets ingrained in you, this scarcity mindset and this sense of, I don't deserve that. I don't need that. That's not really what I want anyways. And we're going to get into that. But the constant plowing of all the cash and capital into the next down payment also keeps investors broke, keeps real estate investors broke. And we see this, right? Anytime, if you're in any of these online groups or conferences, anytime you hear somebody talk about buying something like, let's say, you got a new Rolex watch that's 50 grand, or you got a new car that's expensive, the new Mercedes or whatever. Well, you could have just used that as a down payment. I'm just going to keep rolling all my profits into the next deal and the next deal. And whatever, that's fine, right? I'm not here to tell people what to do or how to do it. And I don't think that you should be buying the luxury items until you get to a certain point in life where it really doesn't matter. But what I am saying is if you're constantly and consistently rolling any profits from your active job or your rental income properties into the next deal, you will always be living on the razor's edge. You will always be living with that sense of scarcity, that sense of lack. Even though you may have millions and millions of dollars in equity, you don't have millions and millions of dollars in the bank, right? And I've been there and I've been on the other side where I do have a lot of capital in the bank. I do have a lot of cash in the bank. And you may say, well, cash is trash and you should have that working for you. You should have it invested. And I do have it invested, some of it, a lot of it, in stuff that's liquid, right? In stuff that I can pull it out of. And I know I'm ruffling feathers here because if you're a real estate person here, you're on a crusade against the stocks and the bonds and the markets and the liquid stuff that you can pull it out quickly, right? You've been trained that real estate is the best investing vehicle. And you know what? It is. I think it's a great investing vehicle. But it doesn't have to be your money. And that's the difference between single family and the whole mentality of plow everything into the next deal, always stay broke, always investing, never having any cash, never having any capital. The mentality of that, it leads to the situation where you can't afford to buy the water heater, and you have to buy you're worth $4 million and you have to finance the water heater, right? Or you have plenty of money rolling in, but you don't have the emotional freedom to give yourself permission to take the vacation, to buy the car, to buy the boat, to buy your wife the necklace or whatever you want to buy. And so if you are buying these single family homes, that's great. You got started, you're going, but single family home deals are small, right? Let's call a spade a spade. You're buying $100,000, $200,000 house, you're renting it out for $1,000 a month. To really get any sort of significant scale, you've got to have 50, 100, really more than that to be making significant cash flow and building significant wealth down the road. And these individual deals are pretty small, so it's hard to attract quality partners, right? If the down payment is 50 grand and you can make a little bit of cash flow, $100 a month, and you're going to go raise 50 grand from somebody and they're going to get, $50 a month, split the deal with you. And over a couple of years, you're going to make 50 grand and you're going to split up 50 grand between 2 or 3 people. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of LLCs and taxes and effort. And for what? It's not that much squeeze, right? We sold a deal that we bought, 8 months. And we turned $1 million profit on it. It was a 90-something unit deal. And it was harder than buying a single family home, but the juice was worth the squeeze. And a lot of people got paid on that. And so I'm just trying to help you realize that if you don't want to stay broke, if you really want to scale up and you really want to change the trajectory of where you're going, you've got to be honest and look at your situation. And if you're not liking it, then why are you continuing to repeat it? Because there's a lot of real estate RIAs and meetups and all over this country that are full of a bunch of broke real estate investors. Okay. And you've got to look at those people and see, why are they broke? Right. And you also got to look at the guys making the money and say, why are they making the money? How are they making the money? And there was a lot of comments of, well, I got a friend, an anecdotal friend who has, 1,000 rental homes and they're paid for. And, he's 80 years old and he drives the same old crappy pickup truck that he's driven for 50 years and blah, blah, blah. And Warren Buffett lives in the same house that he lived in almost. Well, what if you don't want that? Why are you modeling your life after something that you don't want? Like, I want to be wealthy when I'm 65, 70 years old, and I will be. The real estate deals I've done will be paid down, paid off, appreciated. I'll hopefully close more. And my retirement's set, right? That problem is solved. But I also want to be wealthy now. I want to have cash flow now. I don't want to be scraping by for the next 20, 25 years telling myself that this is good. This is what I want, right? Because I'm in this poor core aesthetic, this religion of real estate that every dollar gets reinvested and I just never have any cash on hand and I really never get anything nice for myself or my family because that's stupid, right? That's a waste. That's not me. Well, really, all right, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're going to get into why people say that and feel that, or why I believe people say that, and feel that. So if you want to change, you've got to think about utilizing other people's money, because think about the flip side of that. Let's say you do a big deal where there's millions of dollars to be made on this deal if it's executed properly. And you've raised the capital from 10, 12, 14 people because it's going to take $1 to $2 million for the down payment. And there's no way you could do that. So you raise the money and you still have a few $100,000 in the bank from your other real estate stuff. And you didn't invest that in this deal. And so could you have gotten a little bit more equity? Yes. Could you maybe gotten a little bit more cash flow on that capital? Yes. But you know what? You got that money in the bank. You have peace of mind. And if anything goes wrong or sideways on that deal and you got to chip in, do a capital call, etc., you're ready. Or if another deal comes up and you need to put down the EMD to lock it up until you can close it, you're ready. You have that instead of constantly staying broke. And the other thing that you have is the clarity to look for the next deal. If your bank account is at zero because you just plunked all the capital into that, you're not looking for another deal for like another year. That's how I did it. I would buy up a house or trailer or whatever, put all my available cash into it. Then I really would stop looking for deals for a whole nother 6 months, a year, whatever, however long it took me to save up the money. And maybe you're in a different scenario. If you have a bunch of cash coming in, you have a high paying W-2 job, maybe that's not the scenario you're in. That was the scenario that I was in. And when I recognized and realized, dude, I can do this and I can help people. I can find people. If I can connect money to deals, connect people to deals, I can infinitely scale this. I can close as much real estate as I can responsibly handle, as many good deals as I can find. And I have the partnership and I have the team and I have the ability to execute. I can do that. And that's how I built a 60-something million dollar portfolio in 3 years. Do I own that 100%? Absolutely not. But I do own, 24% of it. And so 24% of 60 million is what, $15 million? How long would it take me to buy $15 million worth of single family homes? Like, that's where people aren't doing the math, right? If you want to generate $1 million in net worth and you want to generate $5,000 to $10,000 in cash flow, by all means, go do single family, right? You'll get there and it might even be easier. But if that's not good enough, if that's not what you want, if you want to generate $15 million in net worth, $50 million, $100 million in net worth, you're not going to do that in single family homes. It's like asking a tricycle to go to the moon. You need a rocket ship. Like, it's just not the right vehicle. And when you tell people this, they get mad, they get upset, and they say, well, that's not what I want. Okay, you don't want that. Well, I do. And I'm not afraid to say that I do. And you're probably not really being honest with yourself to say you don't want $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in monthly free cash flow. You don't want $50 million net worth. You don't want the yacht. You don't want the Lamborghini. You don't want the jet. You don't want the vacation house in Florida. You don't want to go on the $20,000 vacation with your wife to Europe. You don't want any of that? Okay, that's fine. But I'm not afraid and I'm not so insecure to say that I do want that. And so those that are accusing you of insecurities, of shallowness, most of the time, they're just too afraid to tell the world what they want because they know they're going to be judged. Back when I joined Allaire Homes, which is the franchise that I joined with my construction company to help me scale it and sell it, I drove, an old crappy pickup truck. And the regional partner who became my mentor came in there. He said, one of the requirements of Allaire is that you get a new truck, that you get a nice truck. And I was like, well, dude, that's stupid. I don't want that. And he said, well, why not? I said, well, it's a waste of money. Dave Ramsey, you shouldn't go into debt, blah, blah, blah. All the reasons that we all have, not to go into debt and not to buy the truck and why we don't need that and really don't deserve that. And so, he really couldn't convince me. I was stubborn and hard-headed, but I did have to buy the truck. So I bought the truck, and you know what? I liked the truck. The truck gave my clients more confidence in me, I believe. It gave me more confidence. I showed up in a nice, clean, fairly new F-150 because we were trying to do luxury work. We were trying to be a luxury brand, right? I didn't want to be the old, crappy, cheapest contractor who's going to go there and remodel your bathroom on the weekends, and he occasionally smells like alcohol and, but he's cheap, right? That's not the thing that I was going for. I was going for luxury brand, high-end, multi-million-dollar custom homes, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 kitchen renovations. That was my clientele. They don't want to see me in a crappy truck. But I had this mindset, this mentality, and it took me a while to kind of get there. And when I got on the other side of it, I could now see that these things that I would say, I don't want to show off, I don't want my clients thinking that I'm making too much money. I don't want my employees being jealous of me. And I saw these kind of same comments from this post. I don't want tenants knowing that I'm rich. It's easier to collect rent when you're in a broken down car. And I don't know, this weird, I want the tenants to feel bad for me or think that I'm broke. And for one, why are you even collecting rent? I don't think I've collected rent in 4 or 5 years. So why are you collecting rent? That's definitely not highest and best use of your time. And this podcast is not for everybody, right? If you want to be the single family landlord, all your people and you're out there fixing the water heater yourself, fine. This is not for you. But if you want to scale and you want to grow, why are you collecting the rent? Why are you worried about what your tenant thinks? You're seriously worried about what somebody that's paying you $800 a month rent, working over there at Home Depot, you're worried about their opinion of you. If they don't pay their rent because you have too nice of a car, well, then evict them and get a new tenant, right? That problem is super easy to solve. And yet these are the stupid things we tell ourselves to not get what we want because we think that we're going to be judged. We have this fear about what other people are going to think of me. And guys, I'll tell you, it's real. So, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, I bought a nice car, right? It's the first nice car I've ever had. I mean, I've had nice cars as far as a truck, whatever, but I'm talking this is the kind of car that, well, it was a Ferrari, right? It's the kind of car that people are like, whoa, what are you doing? I live in a town called Somerville. There's not many people here. I mean, it's decent size, but this is not a big city. And literally the only Ferrari there. And it was very weird for me. I'll just say that, right? Overcoming that emotional, because I had all these same thoughts. This isn't me. This isn't people are going to judge me. People are going to think I'm wasting money. I could have invested this money, blah, 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 all these things, right? But when it got down to it, it's like, okay, well, I want the car. I think it's cool. I've thought about getting a car like this for 5-6 years. I'm not doing it to impress other people or to try and prove anything. I want the car. And the car is also going to, be cool. It's going to start different conversations. I'm going to meet other people that are into cars. I'm going to meet other people that they want to know what I do. right? They want, hey, dude, what do you do? Well, I invest in multifamily. Okay, cool. Tell me about that. Boom. Relationship sparked. It gives a level of credibility. Now, is it real credibility? Probably not. I mean, I was poorer after I bought the car than before I bought the car, but the perceived level of success, whether you want to call it fake or not, as somebody that's had some of these cars and stuff, it's real. It really is real. And people treat you differently. They interact with you differently. They talk with you differently. And you get in different opportunities. You get in different conversations. And so that was something that I had to kind of leap over the fence to do that. And I had to stretch my mind to do that. Now I sold that car. I got a different car, same kind of level car. And it's just another thing. And everybody in my community is like, oh, whatever. That's just what he does now. Right. And they leave me alone about it. And it's been a period of growth for me, but I had to get past that. This is a waste of money. I don't want to show off. What are other people going to think of me? I want to keep a low profile. You know, I can afford it, but I don't want that. That's what I told myself. I can afford this, but I don't want this. I don't deserve this. I shouldn't spend the money on this. And if you're not in a position, like if you're in a position where you're going to do something like this, whether it be the watch, the new house, the boat, the vacation, whatever, and it's going to stress you out and it's going to be irresponsible, that's not what I'm talking about. But if you got enough money in the bank to buy this thing multiple times over, if you've got the income streams to comfortably handle this stuff, well, you got to look at what do you really want? And are you really living for what you want, or are you making up excuses? Because it's really easy to say, well, I don't want to do that just to impress people. I don't need that to impress people. But really, are you staying where you're at to not rattle the boat and the status quo with the other people? You see what I'm saying there? You're telling yourself something, but really it's the opposite. Really, you just don't want other people to judge you. And so you do what you don't want, right? You stay where you don't want to be because you don't want to rattle the boat. You don't want to change up that status quo. And you are afraid of what other people think about you as much as you're saying the opposite and protesting. So guys, bit of an abstract one. I hope this helps. I really want you to just think about, hey, if you want $100,000 a month in passive income, if you want to drive the Bugatti, if you want to have the yacht, you want to have the beach house, whatever it is, it's okay. Right? I'm giving you permission right now. It's okay to go out there and go after it. And what other people tell you that you don't need it and that's a waste of money and you're irresponsible or you're showing off or whatever, that's on them. That says more about them and what they think and their own personal mindset than anything about you. So focus on the controllables, get real clear about what you want, and be careful about those thoughts, right? Your thoughts can lie to you. And you think, oh yeah, that's not what I want. Because I'll tell you, after I did pull the trigger on some of these things, you know, the yacht, the boat, car, the whatever, it's pretty cool. It was pretty fun. And I had different conversations, and those things pay for themselves multiple times over with the conversations I got into, with the connections I made, with the mindset it built. So don't get into these things if they're going to stress you out and it's over your head and it's not where you're just not there yet. When it's time, I'm here giving you permission, saying it's okay. All right, guys, have a great week. And don't forget to unlock your life. Peace.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.